Which group benefits from negative real interest rates? Solid response. Borrowers is a valid choice. How much was a loaf of bread in Weimar, Germany by 1923? Sharp thinking. 200,000 billion marks is the right choice. As at October 2021, what was the CPI rate of inflation? Perfect. 4.2% is the correct choice. More expansion of foreign direct investment can boost. Bravo. Employment is the answer. In an economically stable country, prices usually dash. Valid point. Rise steadily annually is true. What happens to the volcano's slope after an eruption? Good job. Your answer, it decreases, works well here. Dash inflation brings a total collapse of the economy. Excellent. Galloping is a brilliant choice. Which Avenger does Thor team up with in Thor? Ragnarok. Strong choice. Hulk is the right answer. The average level of prices based on a range of prices. Smart pick. Price index is the correct choice. Which of the following is increased due to inflation? Smart move. Cost of living is an accurate answer. Which of the following is not a measure of inflation? Well picked. QPI is the correct answer. What tool measures the change in slope of a volcano? Excellent choice. Tilt meter is the right answer. An increase in aggregate demand is likely to lead to. Good thinking. Demand pull inflation is the right answer. In a volcano, magma collects in a packet called dash. You got it? Your choice magma chamber is right. Who is made worse off during a period of deflation? Correct response. Debtors is the most accurate answer. Nominal wage adjusted for inflation is described as? Nice selection. Real wage is the correct and valid answer. When inflation is high, the dash of money decreases. You're right. Purchasing power is the correct answer. To close an inflationary gap, the government could. Well done. Run budget surpluses is the right choice. What is the main cause of deflation in an economy? You chose low demand, and it is correct. Economic growth can be seen by an outward shift of? Right choice. The production possibility frontier is the best answer. This type of inflation is related with stagflation. Great job. Galloping inflation is the accurate answer. Combination of slow growth and fast rising prices. Nicely done. Stagflation is a solid answer. Government closes schools for the month of March. Correct. GDP decreases is the right answer. In dash, inflation prices rise about 2% annually. Exactly. Creeping makes sense, and it is right choice. A decrease in general price level is called dash. Nice work. You chose deflation, and it is correct. What inevitably leads to economic collapse? On track. A hyperinflation is the correct answer. Which country has been experiencing deflation? Well reasoned. Japan is the correct choice. A little inflation is a good thing if you dash. Right again. O money is a valid answer. If income velocity is held constant, then MV equal to? Great thinking. PQ is the right choice. What is the highest point of real GDP called? Clear logic. Your choice peak is sound and 100% true. This group of people benefit from inflation. On track. Borrowers is the correct answer. What is not an effect of deflation on firms? Bravo. Increase in wages is the answer. Dash is a decrease in the rate of inflation. You got it? Your choice disinflation is right. High levels of GDP per capita indicate dash. Strong choice. Higher standard of living is the right answer. The business cycle measures dash over time. You chose economic growth, and it is correct. A general rise in overall prices is called. Solid response. Inflation is a valid choice. Tax that is flat or fixed for individuals. Well picked. Proportional tax is the correct answer. The lowest point in the business cycle is? Good job. Your answer trough works well here. What is a cause of demand pull inflation? Nice selection. Rise in consumer spending is the correct and valid answer. Dash refers to a decrease in price level. Sharp thinking. Deflation is the right choice. What is the UK target rate of inflation? Clear logic. Your choice 2% is sound and 100% true. How many Harry Potter movies are there? You're right. 8 is the correct answer. A general increase in prices is called? Great thinking. Inflation is the right choice. Sum of the employed and the unemployed. Good thinking. Labor force is the right answer. Dash is income that doesn't change. Valid point. Fixed income is true. Nominal wage adjusted for inflation. Smart move. Real wage is an accurate answer. Whom does inflation hurt the most? Excellent. Creditors is a brilliant choice. GDP that is adjusted for inflation. Great job. Real GDP is the accurate answer. Economic growth can be measured by? Well done. GDP is the right choice. In the US, deflation occurs. Well reasoned. Rarely is the correct choice. Name one cause of deflation. Excellent choice. Decrease in overall demand is the right answer. Economic growth measures the correct response. Increase in national output is the most accurate answer. How do we measure inflation? Nice work. You chose CPI and it is correct. The opposite of inflation is? Correct. Deflation is the right answer. Causes of inflation are dash. Exactly. All is correct makes sense, and it is right choice. What does CPI stand for? Smart pick. Consumer Price Index is the correct choice. In a recession, GDP. Perfect. Shrinks is the correct choice. What is inflation? Right choice. Rise in general prices is the best answer. What is profit? Nicely done. A financial gain is a solid answer. What is GD? Right again. Gross domestic product is a valid answer. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format. On track. Contact Narayan Changder is the correct answer.